This will be a quick one today, but I just wanted to talk about. I got a little bit of a cold, so if I sound goofy, that's why. These little kids running around, it seems like there's always something they're bringing home, so that's that. But what I want to talk about is adding to a trade. So this doesn't matter what your time frame is, and I love adding to my trades. I love establishing a new piece. It could be the bigger piece or a smaller piece. It just depends. But I'm not really going to talk about how I add as much as what adding does. One thing adding can do is it resets expectations and it resets the rules. So every time you add, I think the way you should do it is to look at it as a separate trade. So if you add, say you buy fives and then it's trading at sevens, if we're just making up prices here, you add at sevens. And maybe on that trade at sevens, maybe you're going to add again at eights or nines. But each time you add, there's a new set of rules. So it's like I bought sevens and I'm going to get out of those at sixes if it doesn't work. And I still have my fives on and I'm going to get out of those wherever. But it gives you a chance to reestablish those boundaries for each new trade. Sometimes I notice when I have an idea and the same trade is on with the same size, it get stale and you just kind of get comfortable with that trade. And it's especially a problem for me when the trade, let's say I have a trade on and it's nearing my target, but it's not quite there. And maybe it's not super close, but it's like 60% of the way there. And I've had this trade on for a couple of weeks and it starts to get quiet and boring. And it lulls me into this sense of everything's going to be okay. And then all of a sudden there's a big move down or two and I give back a lot of my money and I just get lazy and sloppy. But every time I add, it almost focuses me again on, okay, there's a new trade here and now it's a little bit bigger, so I can't let the whole thing come back, so I have to have specific rules for this ad. And if that ad doesn't work, it just kind of gives me information on the whole trade and refocuses me on the trade. And sometimes I can handle my base position better because I've done that. And so that's kind of, I don't know if it's always thought of this way, but this kind of a way that I like to think about my adding. And it keeps me fresh when I'm trading, and especially when I'm really working an idea and I can keep thinking about how does the action feel. And sometimes when you just sit with one position, it can get difficult and it can lull you to sleep. So that's just the one comment I wanted to make about adding. So when you're thinking about doing it, there's a lot of ways to do it, but really try to enjoy that part of it because that can be useful information and help you build into maybe sometimes I'm thinking how I'm going to say this, but you can build into doing trades that you might not normally do, but could be useful for you to learn how to do. So, you buy a pullback on something. Everyone trades differently, right? I don't know how people are entering or exiting, but I've always heard from an old mentor, a good spot is something that goes your way right away. It doesn't matter if it's a pullback. It doesn't matter if you bought the bottom of the range or you bought the top of the range. If it goes your way right away, it's a good spot because you didn't take a lot of heat. So however you figure that out. And there's probably a variety of other podcasts on how to figure that out for everybody's style and different ways that I do it. But when you're thinking about adding, sometimes the trade could be different. So you might buy something on a pullback that you really like, and then it might kind of jiggle around at the high, and then it starts to go and you add. And that's a different trade than you usually do, but maybe you're doing it a little bit smaller, and that's a separate trade now, and that's more information and more learning that you can use. So you can play with that a little bit, but that's what I've done over the years, mostly short term during the day, but I've started to do it more on my position trading as well, and establish new rules always for that ad. It's like I don't want to lump it together with the first trade because then problems can happen.